Oh, I want to talk about IVF. I'm the father.
You don't hear that every day.
I'm the father of IVF.
What were you offended by? Let's hear it.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you asked. I was offended by him calling himself the father of IVF and then saying that Senator Katie Britt is young and fantastically attractive.
Just a fantastically attractive person.
As if that's relevant at all to her concerns about her friends who have used fertility treatments in order to become pregnant. I was offended by the fact that he was asked by a voter, why is the government involved in women's basic rights? And he answered with saying, I think it's great. For 52 years, all the legal scholars, the best legal scholars, Democrats, Republicans, both of them, have wanted to get rid of it. That is not at all how the legal scholars feel or how the American populace feels. Again, no real answer. I'm glad I know more about how donuts are made or whatever was going on there.
He's already dead.
You know, Trump and Fox News was once a match made in heaven, but it's starting to show signs of wear and tear between Kamala Harris's stellar performance in the Lion's Den to Trump's abysmal showing at the all-woman Fox town hall and Jessica Tarlov on hand in between to show the clear disparity between the two. It's no wonder the unhinged rants are now by the hour.
We are the worst. I would also just like to say that it's getting a little exhausting to hear about Kamala's crisis with men constantly when Donald Trump's crisis with women is bigger.
Now, if you thought things were bad at Trump's town hall earlier in the week, where he just paused the questions and swayed to his own playlist while people left, well, he outdid himself with this appearance on Wednesday as he took questions from an all-female audience and from a female moderator, Harris Faulkner, on Fox News in the battleground state of Georgia. And during the event, Trump declared himself to be the, quote, father of IVF, praised a female senator as a, quote, fantastically attractive person, and faced a pointed question about his abortion stance. And it's with the latter we focus, because his answer merited this response from resident voice of sanity on Fox News 5, Jessica Tarlov.
Hello, Mr. President.
Hi.
My name is Pamela. I am from Cumming, Georgia, right here, and originally from Danville, California. So facing the question of abortion, women are entitled to do what they want to and need to do with their bodies, right, including their unborn. That's on them regardless of the circumstance. Some are necessary to save their own lives. Why is the government involved in women's basic rights?
Right, good. I think it's great, and I'm glad you asked it. For 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart. Every legal scholar, the great ones, every lawyer, but the Democrats, the Republicans, the liberals, the conservatives, they wanted it brought out of the federal government.
There are other women at the table.
What were you offended by? Let's hear it.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you asked. I was offended by him calling himself the father of IVF and then saying that Senator Katie Britt is young and fantastically attractive, as if that's relevant at all to her concerns about her friends who have used fertility treatments in order to become pregnant. I was offended by the fact that he was asked by a voter, why is the government involved in women's basic rights? And he answered with saying, I think it's great. For 52 years, all the legal scholars, the best legal scholars, Democrats, Republicans, both of them, have wanted to get rid of it. And that's what I've done here. That is not at all how the legal scholars feel or how the American populace feels. And to the questions about lowering the prices of things, again, no real answer. I'm glad I know more about how donuts are made or whatever was going on there. But I don't think anyone walked away from that thinking that he had any sort of empathy for what's going on in women's lives all over the country. I mean, he kicked it off actually by kind of laughing at the Amber Thurman story. There was, Harris brought up that the family had put out a prebuttal, and he laughs and he says, we're going to have higher ratings.
Amber Thurman's family have come out on a press call, and they're doing what's called a prebuttal to our town hall right now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And I want to
Get better ratings, I promise.
Which seems pretty cruel. You could use that moment to say, I am so sorry that that young woman, a mother of a 6-year-old boy, lost her life.
Now, what is apparent, right, is that Donald Trump has a problem with women voters, whereas Kamala Harris, well, she's polling at record numbers, particularly with white women who in the past have favored Trump. But watching Trump face an abundance of questions from female voters, it's clear his attempt to win them over just isn't working. Go back to that point when he was asked about fertility treatment. He stumbled, claiming to be, quote, the father of IVF, which his campaign later had to say he was joking. Hilarious, right? Before lying to the audience that the Republican Party stood firmly behind IVF treatments, which we know is not even close to being true.
And IVF, you had mentioned before
Right,
IVF.
let's get this question because I believe that's what this is about.
Oh, I want to talk about IVF. I'm the father.
You don't hear that every day.
I'm the father of IVF, so I want to hear this question. Yeah. I got a call from Katie Britt, a young, just a fantastically attractive person from Alabama. She's a senator. And she called me up like emergency, because an Alabama judge had ruled that the IVF clinics were illegal and they have to be closed down. A judge ruled. And she said, friends of mine came up to me and they were so angry. I didn't even know they were going, it's fertilization. I didn't know they were even involved in it. Nobody talks about it. They don't talk about it. But now that they can't do it, she said, I was attacked in a certain way. I was attacked. And I said, explain IVF very quickly. And within about 2 minutes, I understood it. I said, no, we're totally in favor of IVF.
As Democrats have hammered him on, noting that he appointed US Supreme Court justices who voted to overturn national abortion rights and arguing that that opened the door, which it did, to challenges on IVF. Polls continue to suggest that Donald Trump is behind with women in 2024, despite him creepily presenting himself as their great protector. Yes, the man found liable of sexual assault wants you to know that he's protecting you. But a New York Times Siena College poll taken in late September and early October indicated that 56% of likely women voters backed Kamala Harris and 40% backed Trump. Black women, as they usually are on hand to save the day, with 80% of them backing Kamala Harris compared to just 12% for Trump.
Let's take a look here. The GOP's margin among white women. Look, Romney won him by 9, all right? Trump in 2016 won him by 6. You go back 4 years ago, Trump won him by 7. Look now, look how much lower Trump's margin is among white women. Look, he still leads, but it's well within the margin of error. It's just a point. He's doing 6 points worse than he did 4 years ago. In fact, he's doing the worst, if this holds, for a GOP candidate this century among white women, John.
Well, how much do white women matter in the electorate?
So this is the whole thing, right? How much do they matter? If you were to break it down, white women, white men, women of color, men of color, white women make up the plurality of the electorate. 36%. So, yesterday we were talking about those massive gains that Donald Trump was making among black men, black women. But the bottom line is they actually make up a considerably smaller portion of the electorate than white women do. So when we're talking about 5-6 point shifts, 7 point shifts in Kamala Harris's direction, we're talking about that among a major part of the electorate. And that can actually move the overall electorate more than ginormous shifts among a considerably smaller part of the electorate.
You can just do the math. More than double the impact, depending on how it all spaces itself out. Why?
Why? I think that this gets at a pretty good reason why. All right. Abortion is the top voting issue. We're going to look at Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. On average, where 80% or north of the voters are white. Look at this. The percentage of women who say that abortion is the top voting issue come November, 27%. Look at this gender gap among men in those states. It's just 7%. I think what we're talking about here is after Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022, white women in the suburban areas, in these key battleground states, have very much turned against Republicans. And we're seeing in the polling right now, because Kamala Harris is doing historically well, at least this century, for a Democratic candidate among white women. And of course, they make up a very large portion of the electorate. If she wins, it could ultimately be because she did so well with white women, John.
But most notably, the gender gap matters in Georgia, one of the battleground states that could decide the election and where polling suggests the race is effectively tied. Harris holds a 10-point lead over Trump, 54% to 44% among women voters there. And with answers like this, right, at this town hall featuring an all-female audience, it's safe to say that his plan to win over voters is going as well as his plan to provide an Obamacare alternative. Maybe this was just concepts of his appeal.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. the smaller one down the street.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.